And the United States provides specific visas for people who have certain goals.
Welcome, everybody, to our podcast, Get It Done. I'm your host, Michael Bislevich, and today we have a very, very special guest. He flew in all the way from sunny Florida, from one of my favorite places. He is Harry Tapias from Logical Law Firm. They specialize in immigration, and he is here to share all the information for all of our viewers on the proper procedures and ways of you immigrating to the U.S., but as I would say, to Florida. And thank you so much, Harry, for joining us today.
Michael, it's a pleasure to be here in your hometown, in your office. Thank you for having me here. It was a long trip getting here. I actually had to go through New York, Miami, New York, and then Toronto, but I made it. So I'm here. I'm glad to be here with you.
We're happy you made it. I know you had a few delays with your flight, but you're here. So that's all that matters.
Well, I wanted to get it done. So
I love it. I love it. So Harry, wanted to ask you some questions. I think it's important for us to address some of the immigration, facts that, or questions people may have. So if me being a Canadian, I love Florida, as you know, and I want to move. What are the steps or procedures or strategies that you would advise your clients on, and also what types of visas are available to Canadians? So I'll let you kind of take the stage and share.
So Michael, that question is really important for those who want to make the United States potentially their place for a new home or their place for a career, right? Mm-hmm, and the United States provides specific visas for people who have certain goals. If your goal is to become a permanent resident in the United States, you have to look at EB-5 investor visa. If you're looking at starting a business, but maybe choosing to retire back home in Canada several years later, you want to consider the E2 investor visa.
Right.
And the other one that a lot of people know, it's very popular. It's called the TN visa, and that's when an American employer says, "Hey, Michael, I want you to come work for us," and you're a professional. They can get you this TN visa.
Amazing. I mean, so walk me through the steps. Okay, so my family and I want to move to Florida. We're not sure what we're going to do yet. Can I just go there and start doing real estate, for example?
Yeah, that's an important question, Michael, because many Canadians can come as tourists. Essentially, they don't need a special visa. Just because they are Canadians and they have a passport, they can come for 6 months, be tourists, enjoy the beaches in Florida, go to Disney World. But can they start a business? Essentially, is the question, right? Can they start?
Right. I mean, Can I just go there and just open up a business and call it Michael's Real Estate Company and just, have some really nice lights on, nice signage and just get to work?
Right.
Can I do that?
So you cannot begin working in the United States without the proper visa. You can certainly invest in a new business.
Right.
You can buy an office space. You can hire someone. But the moment you start actually doing the work that you would normally hire someone to do, that's where you need to get the proper visa. So, for example, if you do want to start a real estate business or any type of lawful business in the United States, what you want to do is consider your options. So there's the E2 investor visa, super popular. It allows you to invest in your own business, work in the United States for at least 5 years, and your spouse gets the right to work as well.
And that's the visa we're working on currently for me.
That's the E2 family. Investor visa, the treaty creator visa.
Right.
So your spouse gets to work because you invested.
Right.
And the spouse can work anywhere. She doesn't have to work with your company.
Saying basically they can, if they want to get a job, they can work for any U.S.-based company. They can legally get a job there.
Exactly.
And be treated very similar to a U.S. resident.
Be treated the same as a U.S. resident.
Got it.
And your children can access the schools as well.
So they can go to high school, elementary, university, college, and they're treated the same way as any American would.
Exactly. And For the children, that's until they're 21 years old.
Right.
So, if you have a young family like you do, where you have some teens, it's the E2 visa is ideal.
So what happens when they're 21?
All right. Well, so now they're adults, and at least
Right, right.
right. So
Get out of the house, leave, move out.
exactly right.
It's
So
your problem.
well, I mean, they're your kids, and maybe for you, they're always your kids, but they're now they're adults. So if they're going to college, they may need to transition from
Right.
the E2 dependent visa over to an F1 student visa. However, if you were able to obtain permanent residency through some other means, you could help those children get permanent residency so long as
Was that considered a green card or?
exactly the green
Got
card.
it. So you're saying, so the visa that I've applied for, the E2,
right.
which is the investor visa.
Yeah.
So if I, after a certain amount of years, I can apply or we can transition that to a permanent residence, a PR, we call it here in Canada,
Yeah.
or in the United States, the green card.
So yeah, so let me hash that out because
Yeah.
these concepts get conflated and they can be a little bit confusing. The E2 investor visa is designed to be a non-immigrant visa for at least 5 years. So non-immigrant meaning that the investor, the spouse, the children all intend to go home once the visa expires or once you're done doing the job or the investment that you wanted to do in the United States, right?
Right.
So that's non-immigrant visa. There's a way to obtain permanent residency through another type of investment called EB5.
What's an EB5?
So EB stands for employment based, and then number 5 is category number 5. And what that means is that those who can invest at least $800,000, typically in a pre-approved project, many times it's a real estate project, because they made that investment, they can become PRs or permanent residents in the United States.
So if there's let's say a condo going up or some sort of development happening, and I invest into the project,
Yes.
And I invest $800,000 into the project, I automatically can, after you obviously file it, get a green card, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it can be any project. There are these projects managed by something called EB5 regional centers, which essentially they've obtained permission from the United States government to be able to accept money from foreigners, whether they come from Canada, Europe, Latin America, anywhere in the world. They have the right to receive these funds. Okay, and these funds will specifically go for employing Americans. So that's what's called EB, employment based. So this will go to employ 10 Americans for at least 2 years.
So what you're saying is, the project will also, once investing in a project, you're also creating jobs. And
Yes.
once you're creating jobs, you're helping Americans. And,
Exactly.
And that's what the American government wants, is you to stimulate the employment by creating jobs. So in return, they're offering you a status within the United States, which is your green card.
Exactly right. It's an exchange. It's because you put your money in our economy and you made sure that 10 people were employed for 2 years. We're going to now give you permanent residency in our country.
Right.
That's what it is. Now, that takes at least $800,000 investment, and it can be any investment. You have to look at these pre-approved projects.
Right.
But some people are not ready to part with that much money, or maybe they have it, but they don't want to become permanent residents.
A lot of money. Not everybody has. I mean, $800,000 lying around.
Right.
USD, especially with the conversion from Canadian.
Exactly.
That's at least over $1 million Canadian, right?
Totally, yeah. It's a lot of money. So and maybe some people don't want to become permanent residents. So what they'll opt to do instead is the E2 non-immigrant visa, where you can invest a substantial amount of money in your own business, not in someone else's big project.
Right.
You're going to actually work on the business. You're going to be an active participant in the business. You're going to be the owner running it. And you can have this visa for up to 5 years. So there's an expiration date of 5 years.
Is that the E2 you're referring to?
The E2.
The one we're working on.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So that works well because at the end of the 5 years, if things are going well, you can extend for another five more years, right?
So as long as you're attached to the business is, still there, obviously, and you're running the business, you can extend it every 5 years. So, I mean, it's indefinite as long as you're there. The business is literally operational.
Right.
And, every 5 years you're renewing and you're living your life and your kids get to go to school and your
Exactly.
spouse gets to work. So I mean,
Right. So so long as the investor continues building the business,
right,
he or she can get that investor visa extended for an additional 5 more years as long as they want to. The spouse of that investor can continue working for that company that she wants or he wants to, as long as that investor continues to build the business. The children, once they turn 21, we have to find a
right.
solution for them. Okay.
So I mean, those are kind of stages you take as you go
Yeah.
along, and I think you set your roots in Florida. You get yourself established, and then as you go through the processes, you start helping your kids that are turning 21, and then
Right.
you go on to the next level,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
You find another solution, and of course, like my law office is in Florida, and we have clients across the United States, or in fact across the world. So these laws apply the same whether you're in California or in Florida. The advantage of being an investor in Florida is just that we have just a great marketplace for growing.
absolutely, absolutely. And the influx of people coming in, I see tons of new businesses opening up, and there's a lot of activity happening. So it's a supermarket, and the fact that you guys specialize specifically in immigration, and you also have done a lot of helped a lot of Canadians, I should say, transition to United States, not just Florida, but the United States as a whole. You guys give them that guidance. It makes it much easier for them to get their status, so they can go enjoy wherever they're planning to move to. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'll share with you that when I started with me and my business partner, we started our business over 10 years ago. One of our first clients were Canadian investors, and they were a startup business. They had invested somewhere around $150,000 over the years, and then they were
Yeah,
ready to now get their E2 visa. We struck a relationship with this company, and we helped them get their E2 visas, and they continue getting extensions every 5 years. So,
amazing,
and
amazing.
they've been successful in
Yeah,
Florida
and
specifically.
to be honest, I see a lot of people transitioning. Even Canadians, I speak to a lot of people, and most people, to be honest, when they move, they try not to come back. They visit family, of course, and everything, but they're enjoying their life in the United States. And there's a lot of great opportunities, and it's very valuable that we have, or firms like yours that are helping them make it easy,
Well, you
or make it
mentioned
easier for them, I should say.
yeah, we'll make it easier because of the complexity of the immigration laws. We try to essentially walk our client through every step and make it easy for them because we're doing the hard work behind the scenes,
Okay,
right? So
and I
yeah,
just want to make it clear. I always preach what I do, in the sense that I'm always my own guinea pig. So I've gone through work selling in Florida, but also I'm going through the immigration process, and I've been very fortunate that I've connected with Harry, and to be honest, I met Harry as client, essentially. I mean, this is how this whole relationship started, and this my experience was so good, and how informative his team is, and also how they've held my hand and guided me through the whole process. It's been amazing. It's been a great experience, and you guys have been fantastic.
thank you so
And
much.
that's why I thought it was so important for me to have you on this podcast, because I wanted to share my experience with everybody and let them know that it's not that scary. And as long as you're working with the proper professionals, things are going to go forward a lot smoother. And so guys, if you guys are looking for any sort of immigration, please feel free to reach out to Harry Tapias and his law firm Logica.
Yeah, and they can reach us at our handle at Logica. That's Loigica, or on my personal handle. That's at Harry Tapias, HarryTapias, and I put a lot of information about these subjects specifically.
Yeah, and again, I think it'd be important if you guys even just want to reach out for a consultation, and Harry and his team can go into a more of a deep dive of exactly what kind of visa you need for your family or your business. And this way, you guys could start moving to the Sunshine State or any part of the United States. And thank you so much for coming on our podcast. And I wanted to just share with everybody that we're happy to have you, especially on our first podcast.
Thank you so much.
You're our official, and just want to leave a note with everybody: get it done.